Right. So thank you for coming. And today we'll finish up with the last part for the eating god. So again, as a quick recap, eating god is a favorable one, as it will do three things. Number one, the eating god produces wealth. So it's an engine of wealth. Eating god controls seven killing, and therefore the eating god controlling seven killing is also good for the day master. And in a way, eating god would also consider the one that can weaken the day master if the day master is too strong. And so now, as we come on into the third and last part, we'll look into the pillar. As we now see each of the pillar to which the eating god sits on, the 10 gods. So in the first part, as we look into eating god sitting on direct officer. So eating god sitting on direct officer is one where eating god controls the officer. So in that case here, we look into it from a controlling aspect. It's controlling aspect. As eating god controls the direct officer. But here we consider that these two are positive signs. So therefore, the relationship is harmonious. Harmonious because eating god is favorable, and so is direct officer. And so for female, it will be considered to be auspicious. Why? Because for female, direct officer represents husband, and eating god represents children. And therefore, having an eating god controlling husband may be considered to be a good blessing in the sense that there will be what we deem the manifestation of eating god will appear, and the manifestation here would primarily means that the person would be of refined quality, appearance, and of course would prioritize moral standards. And of course, the direct officer is favorable to it. So in that case here, for women having this, for women having this, it will be more dignified and more filial as it is. And also for those having a yin step, yeah, as it is. Correct. So there will be one on the eating god sitting on direct. Now, eating god sitting on seven killing is also considered to be auspicious. In fact, usually we look into this as a positive signal. Eating god sitting on seven killing is deemed to be a very favorable outcome. Therefore, the pillar itself would be good. And more so, especially when the day master is strong. So when we have a strong day master, that would be good. But if there are too many eating gods, it may not be favorable there, as it may then have what we call excessive control, especially when we have one too many eating gods. And this manifestation now will lead to uh, a very sudden burst of aggression, as they may consider. But generally, if the weak day master, if the day master is weak, then this may represent some form of unfavorable outcome. And one of the unfavorable outcome is when the person with the eating god exhausts the day master, and this may mean the person may have that kind of so-called character that is often with output, the anger and volatile temperament. So let's take a look into this chart here. And for this chart, we have a rainwater day master. A rainwater day master born in the month of the dragon is where the day master is weak. Without knowing the hour pillar, here the rainwater is not rooted. But we do find that there is another rainwater protruded to the stem, so therefore there's a little bit of a support from the fact. And here, as we look into the chart, we see that the chart here is one of eating god sitting on seven killing. So eating God sitting on 7 killing is usually favorable. But here we can see that number one, the day master is weak and unrooted. And while the eating god is the Jawud, and Jawud is at its strongest during the period of spring. And here we also find that there's another eating god, which of course will have its rooting to the eating god. So therefore, the eating god is peak and rooted. So we have a very strong eating god protruded to the career. And so often when we look into eating god, we tend to associate it with the artist. Eating god is creative. Eating god is an output star. And having excessively strong output star tends to weaken the day master. But the 7 killing controlling the water will then find itself weak, in the sense that here we may find that the pillar itself is death and emptiness. And anyway, 7 killing is also void, or it's actually weak itself. But in a way, we can find that if the person pursue or uses the eating god as a favorable star, then we can find that the eating god structure may exhaust the day master. And so, of course, we can also consider that sometimes one of the, I would say negative, but one of the uh, part that may have is where we can find that the artist may sacrifice life for art. And so the formation that may be seen is when the day master sacrifices, or the day master is substantially weakened because of the eating god. If the eating god is excessively strong, when the day master is too weak for it, as it is. And anyway, for this particular person, we have an artist by the name of Basjan Ada, which was renowned for his conceptual art. For he is a performance artist, photographer, and basically he crossed the Atlantic Ocean sailing on a sailboat, and that journey was part of his art. So he was devoted to his art, and somehow he did not return for his trip. So basically, he was known as one of those artists that was so devoted to his art that he actually died because of it. So therefore, that is how we may see eating god sitting on 7 killing. Once it's manifest negatively. But if it is a positive manifestation, we do find that eating god sitting on 7 killing is by far also quite favorable. We take a look into a very renowned hedge fund manager, Carl Icahn. So Carl Icahn was known to be one of the successful investor. And here for Carl Icahn, here let's take a look into the day master. Carl Icahn is a Wu Earth, born in spring of tiger, and essentially means that the Wu Earth is weak, but somehow the Wu Earth is rooted. So it has its rooting in terms of both the friend, both friend stars here and here itself. Therefore, it does have it's somewhat a bit of a rooting. And the facade, and here again we see that we have an eating god. So an eating god sitting on 7 killing. So eating god sitting on 7 killing. And this time the Keng metal is trapped and unrooted. And while the 7 killing is strong, 7 killing is peak as it is the Jia wood. And so therefore here we find that the eating god may be sitting on 7 killing may be favorable. may be favorable in the sense that we find that the that the use of it, the use of this eating god sitting on seven killing can find favor for the Wu Earth Day Master. So therefore, the eating god doesn't weaken the Day Master too strong. So unlike the first chart, we find that this will be of a better temperament. And so Carl Icahn essentially having a career pillar. So a career pillar that is eating god is one that is introvert. So to be an analyst, and of course, seven killing is somewhat of a warrior. And so Carl Icahn's investment strategy, it has a reputation of being a corporate raider, whereby he is also an activist shareholder that uh, that focuses on pushing for companies to behave themselves. In fact, for Apple, Carl Icahn wrote two open letters to push Apple to declare dividends and to carry out share buyback exercises. Therefore, this would be pretty much also to find that the use of the indirect resource. So the indirect resource is also manifest to be a philosopher and combine together the analyst. Can also remember that we have the indirect resource controlling eating god. So we have the IR controlling eating god, which can also find itself to be favorable nonetheless. So I think this eating god is pretty weak. So it's quite weak, especially to also not so weaken the day master. The day master is also weak. Same. Therefore, this may be a scenario that we may have a weak day master born out of season and also a weak eating god, also out of season and also being controlled by the indirect resource. Therefore, this would be where the eating god sitting on seven killing structure can manifest itself positively. And also to use the pillar here for the day. All right, now as we move on to the next one, we have your eating god sitting on direct resource. Direct resource is a direct star. Therefore, it may be deemed to be auspicious. And if you look into, if I look into a pink fire day master, what would be, if I look in the pink fire day master, what would be the eating god? What would be the eating god of a pink fire day master? That is right. Oh, and what would be the direct resource? The direct resource would be the yi wood. Therefore, with the yi wood, which is a direct resource to control the wood. So in that concept, we then have the eating god sitting on direct resource. Usually, of course, especially for those with a strong day master from the yang step. And so usually with direct resource having the ability to control the eating god. Because the thing about eating god, the thing about EG is that if not careful, EG is impatient. EG is an upward star, EG is impatient. EG may have some internal anger in them. And therefore, having direct resource to control eating god, direct resource is about education, direct resource is about knowledge, and having that refined education and knowledge and resource is about nobleman, it's about mother. So having very good parental guidance, nurture, will then produce and produces the day master that produces the eating god. Therefore, this control structure will be considered to be favorable because direct resource has a harmonious production to the day master, and the day master producing eating god does not weaken it too much. Therefore, there is a harmonious flow. So, a harmonious flow can be seen from direct resource to the day master to the EG. So, with this flow, then the capability of generating wealth would be there. And therefore, we do hope to find resource and eating god and the day master side by side. Now, eating god sitting on, so in a way, to once again explain that direct resource sitting, the eating god sitting on direct resource would then have noblemen, assistance from elders, support from superiors, and also, of course, eating god represents staff. So in a way, we can also see that direct resource represents boss, and eating god represents subordinates or employees, or or the day master's subordinate. Therefore, once again, there is a good flow between the boss, the day master, and the employees. You can see here as well. Right. Next, now we take a look into eating god sitting on indirect resource. Indirect resource, if you can recall from the sharing, is the owl. And of course, eating god is the food. And so there is a saying that says that the eating god steals the food. And so more often than not, eating god sitting on indirect resource is unfavorable. And usually it may be deemed to result in financial losses or interpersonal relationship conflict. More so, we may consider this to be worse for female because the indirect resource weakens the husband and controls the children. But for male, it may be less negative, so it may also contribute to some positive manifestation. But if you do look into the if you look into another form of chart, let's take a look into the chart of the eighth richest person on earth, or nine, sorry. And now we have Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett is a Ren Water Day Master. Ren Water born in autumn in the month of the monkey is strong. So water born in metal month is strong. The water is rooted in the month pillar and also in the hour pillar. So the day master is very strong. And here we do have eating god. So we have an eating god sitting on indirect resource. So eating god sitting on indirect resource. And also we have an indirect resource here as well. So in this particular structure, we also find that the eating god is void. So in the first part, we do find that the IR controls the eating god, and the eating god controls the seven killing. Therefore, having a seven killing on the hour pillar, but it's mitigated by the eating god. So therefore, there's the energy here is controlling energy. You can also find that the eating god sits on the indirect resource, may find itself may find its manifestation in a sense that it is weaker than the day master, so it doesn't weaken the day master so much. And while the indirect resource produces, so it produces the day master. So the day master is a very, very strong day master. Strong day master because born in not the correct season, but close to it, in a growth season, supported by a lot of resource, So it's supported by a lot of resource. Therefore, we find that Warren Buffett is excessive, excessive. So as it is an excessive resource, it is then drawn towards being the indirect resource being his dominant trait. Therefore, here we can see that the indirect resource plays a more influential role, controlling to his indirect eating God. So again, we find that indirect resource is suitable for jobs that has to do with analytical job, investigation, that things out of the box. And therefore, here we find that Berkshire Hathaway, so a CEO, founder, co-founder, Warren Buffett is able to make use of the dominant characteristics and also to play a role with his eating. So you can do find that his fasa, which is indirect resource, and his man pillar shape his character of personality of somebody who is quiet, introvert, and analytical in mind. And so here we see that generally a strong out stealing a weak foot is where the day master generally will have an unfavorable outcome. But here we do find that in his chart, luckily, there is a ting fire. So there is a ting fire here, which represents his useful God. So this ting fire has the ability to control Keng. And therefore here, having metal that has experienced fire would then be a very favorable outcome. So every time we see Keng metal, we need to know that Keng metal becomes useful after experiencing a ting fire. Therefore, metal is forged, metal becomes sharp. Therefore, that would be where this day master is able to make use of the elements here for this. Right now, as we move on to the next, we have eating God sitting on direct wealth. Eating God sitting on direct wealth will be eating God sitting on what it produces. And therefore, again, we find that these two are direct stars that people welcome. So regardless of whether the day master is strong, sitting on direct wealth would then be blessed with prosperity. And for males, direct wealth represents the wife. Therefore, they will experience a good, harmonious relationship. And normally, the eating God sitting on direct wealth will be proper. Therefore, brings out the nobility, the noble behaviors, politeness, sincere, stable. And so the person is intelligent and is considered to be one that can bring great fortune. And so eating God sitting on direct wealth is welcome. We take a look into another hedge fund manager, Seth Klarman, billionaire investor, hedge fund manager, author. So we find here, let's take a look into the chart, shall we? Indirect wealth normally denote an investor. Author, of course, denote an eating God. Therefore, having indirect wealth that is favorable can bring a person to be an investor, and an author, of course, eating God, and hedge fund manager. Also find it to be favorable to have that eating God controlling 7K can be one as well. So here we have the Hui Water Day Master, born in summer. The Day Master is weak and not rooted. The eating god is also weak and also unrooted. So therefore, we find these two to be of comparable wealth, a comparable strength. And as it sits on direct wealth, the direct wealth is strong. So therefore, it has a very strong direct wealth. They can also find fire to be protruded to the ear facade and also find support in the days. Therefore, this person's structure would be direct wealth. It has EG to the step. And so EG producing direct wealth has a career pillar. So the career pillar is an EG producing direct wealth. It will be also very suitable to be an investor, to be an analyst, to be an analyst that can then look into investing, matter, wealth management, to look into office matters itself. Therefore, here we find that the chart could be useful for this day masters. And of course, we do find that people who have eating god has a tendency to publish. Eating god people have this tendency to produce creative content. Therefore, it's not just about making money. Making money is from the wealth part, but the eating god part is about that creative output that they wish to produce as well. Therefore, that's where we have your eating god sitting on direct wealth. Now, next, we take a look into eating god sitting on indirect wealth. Also the same. So in a way, it matters quite little whether it sits on direct or indirect wealth. It will be pretty auspicious. And generally, of course, if the day master is strong, it will be more auspicious. Usually, we do not wish for a too strong an eating god because at the end of the day, eating god does weaken the day master. So therefore, we also have to look into the relative strength, the strength. And so here, eating god sitting on wealth will be people who are talented and, of course, emotionally expressive, but in a more dignified manner. And since they sit on wealth, they also become good in making money and they also excel. But the difference between eating god sitting on direct wealth or indirect wealth may have to do with the investment philosophy. So since direct wealth is proper, the person is more towards a proponent of value investing. So people who believe in value investing believe in fundamental analysis. So here, if you're referring to eating god sitting on indirect wealth, then it will have similar characteristics, dignified, also an analyst looking for investor, but indirect wealth may be more speculative, maybe more risk-taking. And so in a way, the advice would be more towards what kind of investment style you may pursue. So for those with direct wealth, the investment style should be fundamental, proper, slow. Therefore, should focus more on fundamental related to invest, things that are more proper. While indirect wealth are more gambling type, more speculative, risk-taking type, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, or excessive risk-taking kind of investment opportunity. So that will be how we look into between eating god, producing direct wealth or producing indirect. But one or the other, these are the engine that the heaven stem producing the wealth branch. And things are more branches are they're basically more long lasting. Therefore, this shows a very favorable, longer lasting ability to make money. Because things that are on the stem are more temporal. Huh? Things that are on the branches are longer lasting. Take a look into the next. We have your eating god sitting on hurting officer. Eating god sitting on hurting officer would be a pure pillar, would be the element sitting on the same element. And so usually this would be either the fire or the water, either fire or water. And normally, regardless of strong or weak, it is more so not an auspicious configuration. And this is worse if the day master is weak. Because both eating god and hurting officer, both weakens the day master. So both of them are output stars, weakening the day master. So if the day master is weak, facing excessively strong eating god sitting on hurting officer, because eating god sitting on hurting officer would be quite close to a pure pillar, would be quite of a pure pillar. So if it's a pure pillar, and one way pure pillar is that the star is peach blossom. The star is a peach blossom star. It's a peach blossom. So if it's a peach blossom star, and that is where the element is very strong. So it runs a risk that if the day master is weak, then it will not be too auspicious then. Peach blossom star, of course, may have relationship with relationship issues. So therefore, that would be where the adverse effect may come. But if the day master is strong, so once you have a strong rooted day master, then you can utilize it. You can utilize this power. So this power, because it is very strong, there's a tendency of the person to be impatient and a person not capable of managing it. And for men, this pillar should not be. So this pillar should not be in the hour pillar. Because if it's an hour pillar, it can then manifest negatively as well. So let me just take an example, yeah, instead of saying, hold on, just for a short while. If if we were to take, if we were to take a report, so if we were to take a pink fire, if you were to take a pink fire day master, so if let's say no, if I were to take, so as I was trying to say, as I was trying to say that like that, just go. Yes. So as I was trying to say that, for example, here, so for an eating god to sit on hurting officer, it would have to be Because the thing about eating God sitting on hurting officer is the same element sitting on an output element sitting on an opposite polarity. So for this to happen, it will be either the water or the fire. So you either have the water or the fire. And therefore it will be either the ren, it will be the ren or the ping. And of course, if I refer to a wood day master, then you can also find that this manifestation would then be again an eating God sitting on hurting. So where do we find eating God sitting on hurting officer for this chart that you see here? So if the day master is Jia, then we can find that the eating God would be in the hour, and then the hurting officer would be here. And so if this is a male day master, we consider this to be unfavorable. So do you see that? Sorry, yeah. Okay. So here, if you see number one, this chart, so if you see this chart, we have a Keng day master. You have a Keng day master, and the Man pillar would be an eating God sitting on hurting office. So for that to happen, it will be a water day master. So it's quite close to a pure pillar. And again, this is a peach blossom. So that's what I meant. That's what I meant by this being a peach blossom. And the peach blossom star is a hurting officer. The peach blossom is a hurting officer peach blossom star. So there's a tendency to find relationship related issues. They can come in. They can come in to be unfair. We find another. So if I look at this, so this would now be a Jia Wood Day Master. And in this Jia Wood Day Master, the eating god sitting on hurting officer would be the pink, which is again peach blossom, which is again a peach blossom. So the tendency for it to be a peach blossom star and a hurting officer tends to make it one which is wrought with personal related problem. One way or the other, yeah, as you can see. Right. And therefore, we can find that it may not be. So that would be has here a pure element. So it's a pure element pillar. But of course, it can bring positive. It can bring positive of looking to the strength of the day master. And so here we have Dave Thomas. Dave Thomas is a founder of Wendy, the fast food chain restaurant. You can find that his chart is very close to Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett's year stamp is indirect resource and month stamp is eating God. Here we find also the same. So we see that the person is weak and unrooted, not knowing the stamp, but while eating God is peak, sitting on hurting office. So we do find that this is a very, very strong eating God. Very strong because pink fire born in summer. Pink fire born in summer makes it very strong. So once it's very strong, the day master is weak. And in a way, it would be good to find that there is an eating resource controlling it. So with eating resource controlling the eating god, then at least the strength of the eating god is mitigated, therefore making it useful. Where we do find also that the horse clashes with the rat. No? So therefore, there's also another clash out here. So in a way, we find that indirect resource at the year pillar. Indirect resource represents stepmother, represents unconventional mother for the day master. And therefore here, we also learn that Thomas was adopted when he was 6 months old. So being adopted at a young age normally indicate indirect resource in the year step. That's the indirect resource in the year step tends to read that. And in the arrival of his luck pillar, the first luck pillar, which is the Ting, and Ting combines with Ren. Ting combines with Ren. So a combination of such may also indicate that the mother is combined away, or the stepmother is combined away. So, so it is wrong to think that combination is always positive. Combination means that the element is combined away, can be negative. So at the age of 12, when Thomas started working, and so when he worked, he lost his job because of his dispute with the boss. So at a very young age, he lost his job in the dispute, indicating that when it comes to work, having hurting officer as a structure tends to make a person rebellious. Therefore, eating God sitting on hurting officer, if uncontrolled, can be negative. Negative. So during the early years, his life was wrought with a lot of troubles. Troubles in terms that the stepmother was combined away, so not able to control the eating god, and so the eating god sitting on hurting officer creates a very problematic character. And so usually, for a person like that, had a very difficult childhood and also a very difficult career. But in a way, he picked up himself, and of course, through a proper hard work, he managed to bring himself out, and he later worked with a family that helps to promote KFC, and from there he opened his first Wendy's in 1969. That was the life of Dave Thomas. He passed away in the year 2002. He passed away before exiting the last that means he could not cross over to the next pillar. And the pillar that is Gui Chou is also Gui Chou is a Rockwell good breed pillar for water people. Not for him, but for water people. So it's quite a pillar of it. Right. So as we move on to the next, we have your eating god sitting on direct. So eating god sitting on direct officer is auspicious. So direct officer is positive, regardless of whether day master is strong or weak. So considered to be higher fortunes, stable, practical, polite, law-abiding, logical manner. Eating god controlling direct officer also means elevation of status and promotion. So if meeting a luck pillar, it also represents ability to make money, ability for great fortune. Because why? Because if you look into eating god and you look into direct officer, what is the missing? The missing part, of course, is wealth. And therefore, eating god produces wealth, wealth produces direct officer. So eating god sitting on direct officer is an engine for making money. So having these two attracts money to be able to be generated. Therefore, that would be why it is considered to be very auspicious, very good. Now, as we move on to eating God, sitting on eating God. Now, eating God, sitting on eating God, of course, is a pure pillar. It's a pure pillar of either metal or wood, either metal or wood. And so, again, metal or wood, either sinew or yima. And these two pillars are vicious pillars, sinew and yima. These two are very strong, vibrant pillar, but they are also peach blossom stars. So generally with that area, we do consider that eating God sitting with another eating God may have to depend on strength, but if not careful, it may also represent laziness, indulgence, and so on. But for those with a strong day master, it can be auspicious because it can be refined to something that is truly very, very vibrant. So take a look into Michael Jackson. Where do we find Michael Jackson? Eating God, sitting on eating God. So we find the keng metal sitting on the monkey. Keng. So this is a Wu Earth Day Master, born in autumn, is weak. However, it is rooted. Now, a weekday master requires resource. Can you find out what are the pillars that support this day master? What are the pillars that support the day master? The pillar that supports the day master would be the resource and the self. Therefore, we find uh, friend star, friend star. So friend star, friend star. Michael Jackson also has the fire trinity. What is the fire trinity? Tiger, horse, and dog. Therefore, you have the yin wuxi. So having the yin wuxi fire trinity, fire produces earth. So the fire trinity produces earth. So the day master, even though not born in season, has two friend stars, and fire trinity to produce earth. So earth is not weak, so it's not really weak. It has rooted, it has its rooting, so it has rooting and it has support. So it's got a strong day master. So having a strong day master is capable of using the eating god. And this eating god is a pure metal pillar, where we have the keng. Now, the moment you see keng metal, if you want to use keng metal, what must keng metal experience? Metal must be forged by fire. So metal must be forged by fire. So having keng metal, you need to see ting fire. So having ting fire forged. And also to look into its luck pillar to see whether, sorry, I thought I produced it. So luck pillar produces it. Fire element will also make the eating god, uh, productive, as it is. So anyway, Michael Jackson is known for being the king of pop, being a singer, being a songwriter. These are manifestation, of course, of eating God. So eating God has this strength, or this particular skill. But the one thing that we have shared last week is that let's take a look into the graveyard. There is a graveyard star, and the graveyard star would be a hurting officer embedded into it. And so there is a little bit of a eating god and hurting officer confusion. And with this confusion may also indicate a little bit of personality disorder. So especially when upward star is hidden in a graveyard, there is a personality disorder that can be found. And so the person may manifest itself to be somewhat a bit weird, no? A bit off. And anyway, friend star means you are your own brand. Huh? You are your own brand. So we do find naturally many celebrities having friend star to be protruded to the stems. And so they usually have to self-brand them to get success. So this would be a bit more about the part that Michael Jackson has. So this is a strong day master, not weak, strong, a strong day master, receiving and eating God, sitting on eating God. And so harness the creative chart, harness the artist chart to make money. So therefore, that would be the case of the life of Michael Jackson. Now into eating God sitting on rock wealth. So eating God weakens rock wealth. And so therefore, as it weakens rock wealth, it can transform the energy of rock wealth into something useful. Therefore, it will be deemed to be a favorable configuration. And rock wealth people are party animals, and eating God are artists. Therefore, combined together, they are very eloquent with their language, with their artistic talents, capable of socializing, and of course, able to make money, able to have potential financial. Because in a way, rob wealth, rob the wealth, and while eating God produces it. Therefore, eating God sitting on rob wealth will be where eating God produces the wealth, and the rob wealth robs it, able to control the wealth. And so, as a result, this will have both the happiness in terms of financial success and happiness. So we do find eating God sitting on rock wealth to be quite a favorable good start. Right, one last part. Let's come to eating God sitting on friend star. So eating God sitting on friend star will have something similar to eating God sitting on your rock wealth. It's the same concept because again, friend star controls the wealth to which the eating God produces. So again, we do find that this alignment tends to be favorable. And so friend star will be able to attract partners, will be able to attract fans and supporters. Eating God is able to provide them with the creative and innovative output in order to then generate such wealth. If born in the year, then you may have also adopted into wealthy family. So here we have William Goldman, an American novelist, playwright, screenwriter, very EG, very eating God. And so here we have the eating God protruded to the year stem sitting on friends. Born in autumn, the eating God is strong. Therefore, we have a very, very strong eating God, big, but somehow unrooted. We do have a weaker earth, but the earth is rooted with a friend star, born out of season as well. So we do find that the eating God manifests itself to be a pillar that is favorable to the person. And moreover, for this person, Goat represents the talent star. So goat represents the talent. Therefore, eating God sitting on talent. So eating God sitting on talent will make the person very talented, very creative, and can make money. Can make money generating from creative. Therefore, that would be the use of eating God sitting on the friends. We'll find another that is also another hedge fund manager, 79th wealthiest person, author. And so here we have your Teng Day Master, born in autumn, is peak. Teng is rooted with the Friend star, therefore is peak and rooted. Day Master, very strong. Eating God is water, also strong, also rooted. And so eating God sitting on Friend star, so very strong pillar, but the Keng Day Master is capable of harnessing its energy. And so in that part, no, we do find that eating God is an analyst. Eating God is an analyst, a writer. Friend star is investment, no, or partner. And so eating God sitting on Friend star, analyst sitting on partnership, sitting on collaboration, sitting on collaboration. Can also find a person to be suitable to be a hedge fund investor, investment officer, and of course, eating God has the propensity and tendency to write and to publish books. That is something that they enjoy doing. So that's where Ray Dalio will have this tendency to publish, to report. So that will be the case of eating God sitting on Friendster, is one that can make a career using analytical skills to build a network of partnership. Right. So this would be the 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 wrap up or the summary of all the 10 gods to which the eating god sits to find suitable peoples. Right. So this wraps up on our last part for it. In the next session, I'll see you for the last of the 10 gods that we have to yet to cover, which is direct wealth. So I'll see you the next time for direct wealth. All right. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining this session. Thank you very much.